I've always been fascinated by the power of the human mind, but today I want to explore its darkest potential. What if I told you that the most lethal weapon in history isn't made of steel, gunpowder, or plutonium? It's made of neurons. That's right. The deadliest weapon ever created is the human mind. So, how can thoughts be more dangerous than a nuclear warhead? Well, our brains are hardwired for survival, and sometimes that means violence. You know, evolution has shaped our minds to be incredibly efficient at identifying threats and coming up with ways to neutralize them. This ability, which once helped us survive in the wild, has now become the foundation for creating increasingly deadly weapons. But here's something fascinating. Unlike other animals, humans have the unique ability to imagine, plan, and execute complex strategies. We don't just react to threats. We can anticipate them, prepare for them, and even create them. This cognitive leap is what separates us from other species and what makes our minds so incredibly powerful and, potentially dangerous. The evolution of violence in the human mind is pretty mind-blowing when you think about it. Our ancestors lived in a world where physical threats were constant. Those who could quickly identify danger and respond effectively were more likely to survive and pass on their genes. This led to the development of what psychologists call the fight-or-flight response, a rapid, automatic reaction to perceived threats. But humans didn't stop there. We developed complex social structures, and with them came new forms of conflict. Tribalism, the desire for dominance, and fear of the other all became powerful motivators for violence. As the philosopher Albert Camus once said, "Man is the only creature that refuses to be what he is." This refusal, this ability to imagine ourselves as something more, is both our greatest strength and our most dangerous trait. The evolution of weapons throughout human history is a fascinating journey that starts with simple tools and ends with weapons that can think for themselves. The first weapons were extensions of our own bodies: clubs, spears, and eventually swords. But even these simple tools required imagination and planning to create and use effectively. As time went on, our weapons became more sophisticated. The invention of gunpowder led to firearms and cannons. The Industrial Revolution brought us tanks and planes. And in the 20th century, we reached the pinnacle of physical destruction with nuclear weapons. But here's the kicker. Each of these advancements began as an idea in someone's mind. The real weapon wasn't the object itself, but the intellect that conceived it. But weapons alone don't win wars. Strategy, the art of planning and directing military operations, has often proven more important than raw firepower. Ancient military theorists like Sun Tzu understood this. His famous work, The Art of War, focuses more on outsmarting the enemy than outgunning them. In the 19th century, Karl von Clausewitz further developed these ideas, emphasizing the importance of strategy and the relationship between war and politics. His concepts are still studied in military academies today. What's fascinating is that these strategic principles, deception, misdirection, exploiting weaknesses, all rely on understanding and manipulating the human mind. In a very real sense, the mind created war before it created peace. Now let's talk about one of the most insidious ways the mind has been weaponized: psychological warfare. This isn't about physical destruction, but about manipulating perceptions, beliefs, and emotions. Propaganda, misinformation, and espionage are all tools in this mental arsenal. During World War II and the Cold War, these tactics reached new heights of sophistication. One of the most chilling examples is Project MK-Ultra, a CIA mind control program that ran from the 1950s to the 1970s. They experimented with drugs, like LSD, hypnosis, and other methods to try and control human behavior. Today, we see similar tactics in cyber warfare and social media manipulation, where the battlefield is information itself. In the 21st century, we've entered a new phase of weaponizing the mind. artificial intelligence. Drones and autonomous weapon systems are now capable of making decisions that were once the sole domain of human operators. This raises profound questions about the nature of warfare and responsibility. Are we offloading our lethality to machines? And if so, what are the implications? The development of AI in warfare is a double-edged sword. On one hand, it could reduce human casualties by removing soldiers from the battlefield. On the other, it makes the decision to go to war easier, potentially lowering the threshold for conflict. And there's always the risk of these systems being hacked or malfunctioning, with potentially catastrophic consequences. The mind that created these weapons now grapples with how to control them. To understand the true power of the mind as a weapon, let's look at one of the most consequential decisions in human history: the dropping of the atomic bomb on Hiroshima. The physical weapon was, of course, devastating, but the real power lay in the decision to use it. A small group of people, weighing complex moral and strategic considerations, chose to unleash a force that would change the world forever. You know, it's like the trigger was in the mind before it was ever in the hand. Every advance in weapon technology forces us to confront new moral dilemmas. From the Geneva Conventions to modern debates about autonomous weapons, we're constantly grappling with the consequences of our intellectual creations. It's a bit like opening Pandora's box. Once these ideas are out there, can we ever truly control them? As we look to the future, it's clear that the mind will continue to be the ultimate weapon. But whether that leads to more destruction or to new ways of preventing conflict is up to us. The next great conflict might be fought entirely in cyberspace or even in our own brains. It's a future that's both exciting and terrifying to contemplate. Our minds have the power to create unimaginable destruction, but also to solve our greatest challenges. The future depends on how we choose to use this most lethal of weapons. The choice, as always, begins in our minds.